3, 2, 1, go.
We are on now. All right.
Episode
and gentlemen.
number
4.
4.
0004.
Nice.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
Tonight we have on Brady.
Brady. Can we say your last name?
What?
Or is that all right?
What? Yeah, you can say my last name. I don't care.
Okay. It's Brady Herberlie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
He's
Brady.
fresh from Germany.
That's right.
He's in the military.
Deutsch.
Tell us about yourself a little bit if you would.
All right. So I'm oh shit, I forgot how old I am. Let's see. I'm 25. I'll be 26 in April. So I'm currently active duty in the Air Force, stationed in Ramstein Air Base, which is in Germany. Jacob is my brother-in-law. I'm married to his sister. So that's the relation there. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I like cars, motorcycles, guns.
Well, what about a little bit of your
You're living
childhood almost?
Childhood.
Childhood.
Oh,
You're
man.
living in
up and shit.
Germany, right?
What is it?
You're in Germany, right?
Yeah, in Germany. Yep.
Where at in Germany?
So I'm at Ramstein Air Base, which is in the community of Kaiserslautern.
Say that again.
Kaiserslautern. So it's about an hour and a half from Frankfurt.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're pretty close to center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, relatively.
My geography is terrible. I wasn't going to even try that, Frank. Whenever anyone tells me where they're from, like when it's outside of the U.S., I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Heard of the country. I know it. I know it.
They say it's right by this place. I'm like, yeah.
What's the,
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
the biggest difference you see? Like coming back to America, what's the biggest difference you see?
Biggest difference? Man, that's a tough one. Because both cultures are pretty similar.
Especially this area.
This area?
It's pretty
No,
Germanic. This area
we're
is
very
pretty Germanic.
Germanic, as you say.
Yeah, I mean, both cultures are pretty similar. I'd say one thing that's different is like the in Germany they live in like small houses and apartments, and they're not always like they're not really nice. They're just like your regular houses. Like nobody lives in big fancy houses, but they all drive brand new cars. They all drive brand new BMWs and Audis and stuff like that. So here it's kind of like. You see people living in regular houses or cheaper looking houses or very nice houses, and then you see like a mix of like the cars on the road. You'll have like the old beat up vehicle that looks like it didn't pass the inspection, the bumper's hanging off, or it looks like the one where someone had a rear end collision or whatever. But it's still driving down the road. But like you just don't see that in Germany.
Take care of the cars, don't they?
They probably have more
Well,
pride
plus
in it.
it's cheaper. It's probably a lot cheaper with all the import taxes that they probably throw on Beamer. Like a Beamer here is probably a shit ton more money than it is actually in Germany or something.
Oh yeah.
It's close. It's
it
close.
is.
You can get them a little bit cheaper in Germany, but you're paying in euro. So because of the conversion rate, it actually equals out to be about the same.
That's it.
But they do offer some pretty good deals over there for military members.
Cool.
If you buy like a European car over there, like you get it like
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you use like a form that basically takes care of the sales tax on it, which in Germany sales tax is 19%.
Oh,
so
damn.
Wow.
Holy cow.
it's ridiculous.
Do
So
they have an, do
free
they have an
healthcare, though,
income
right?
tax?
what is it?
Do they have an income tax?
Yeah, I'm sure they do. I don't buy much stuff on the economy. honestly.
When you're over there on the base, do they have American taxes?
No,
or do they have
there's
German taxes?
everything on
over there?
base is tax free.
Oh, okay, it is federal government. Okay,
right,
it's tax free.
right.
That
Everything on
makes
base
sense.
is
All right.
tax free. Oh, the other thing that's kind of different that you don't see is like in America, the cars on the side of the road that are like broken down or abandoned, just like along the side of the highway. Like you don't see that in Germany. You do not see that.
Dude, there's a lot.
Dude, I bet they have really good programs just because of how small they are comparatively.
Yeah.
Like the U.S. has 350 million
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
But like they
Yeah.
probably have these little programs that
It's part of that 19% tax, though.
Right.
Yeah.
They can maintain everything
it's like
with that
I bet
kind
they
of
have
a
like
tax.
a cash for clunkers deal. Like a cash for clunkers.
Well,
think
so
so?
your vehicle has to go through a really rigorous inspection out there.
Oh.
So when you go through this inspection, I mean, if your car's not in tip-top shape, they'll fail it. So I had an older Audi S4 wagon out there that I spent probably 11,000 euro repairing different things, like just anything and everything, like clutch and flywheel. The car's so expensive to work on that I told the guy while you're in there, if there's anything else you see, just fix it once and get it out of the way. And even after spending all that money and having all these different things fixed, when I went to get it re-inspected like a week or two ago, they failed it.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm
That's
like, you
crazy.
gotta be kidding me. And they fail you on the stupidest stuff, but like, they want your car to be like absolutely perfect to be on the road. So I think
What'd you fail on?
they failed me on, so they said my right side tires were worn, not my left, which doesn't make sense because the tires get rotated, but I was like, okay. And then my low beam bulb was out, which I knew that. So I was like, okay, easy fix. And then they said I had an exhaust leak, which I was like, all right, whatever, I'll get that welded. And then what was the last one? They said they could see some oil underneath the engine bay, like when they go down underneath and look up at it. They said they could see some
crazy.
oil.
What? Holy
so they
cow.
failed it. So the crazy part is, I was like, okay, fine. So I had a set of winter wheels and snow tires to go on the car. So I was like, well, I'll just go ahead and put those on because it's wintertime now anyways. We're going to get snow soon. And that'll take care of the tires. I put the new bulb in. And then I had a buddy of mine weld the exhaust leak. And then I went to this guy who like steam cleans the bottom of people's cars so they pass inspection. Literally
For that.
Yeah,
I bet there's a whole industry for it.
yeah, there's tons of people that are like, they have these businesses that are
Dude, there's probably
guaranteed
just
to make
there's
your
probably
car
so
pass.
much just bureaucracy with it. A lot of it,
Yeah.
where it just slows it all down. Oh, I mean, and there probably just a lot of people are just assholes too.
That too, especially there on the base, because you have the people that are inspecting your cars are Germans, and like I don't know what their problem is with Americans, but like they don't like us, and like I've gotten into arguments with them, and like they're just jerks. But anyway, so I took the car back to get it to pass inspection after I fixed all these things, and I had this guy clean the bottom of it 20 minutes before I took it to pass inspection. They refilled me on the tires. They refilled me on the headlight bulb that I replaced.
Oh,
they said the
man.
exhaust leak, I didn't fix it good enough. And then they said they could still see oil on the bottom. I was like, I just fixed all 4 of these. How are you going to fail it again?
Dude, that's absolutely.
So what happens if you fail?
So then, so if it fails, then you've got another 30 days to go get it fixed so it'll pass inspection. Then after that, if you don't get it fixed, then they put you on temporary tags. So they take your real license plates and they give you temporary tags, which are only good for so long. So it's this whole process. But yeah, that right there is
That's
probably
why
one of the
everyone has
reasons.
fast cars.
Yeah, exactly. It's not worth the hassle of driving a beater over there because you
Yeah.
literally cannot win.
Well, the public transportation's also probably a shit ton better.
That too, it's way better. You got sidewalks going everywhere. People ride their bikes everywhere.
Yeah.
People longboard everywhere. You got buses, you got trains, you got taxis. I mean, there's so many transportation options over there. You don't even have to have a car.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
I bet you can probably see a lot more people riding bikes there than in America.
Oh yeah.
What's gas over there?
As far as what, like the price?
Like how much is it? Because don't they do it per liter?
Yeah, so they do it per liter. So on the economy, for one, it's per liter, which is less than gallons, and then two, it's in euro, which is more expensive than the dollar. So like if you go, like I don't know, if you had a car that cost $40 to fill it up with gas, over in Germany it costs you $120, $130 to fill it up with
Holy
gas.
cow.
Dang.
On the economy. Now, because we're military, we're on base. They ration fuel to us, so we pay like an average baseline price for gas. So pretty much like the average of what people in America pay for gas. That's what we pay over there. So
That's awesome.
yeah, so it's definitely like it's how it would be in the States. So we don't have to pay that crazy economy price. But yeah, if for some reason you're off base and you're not near like one of those SO stations is what they call them, where you can get that ration gas, you got to put gas in your car on the economy, and like putting in $10 worth might
Not even almost a gallon.
yeah, like it'd
Almost,
be, yeah, it'd
probably
be-
a gallon,
yeah,
maybe.
It'd be nothing. It'd be nothing. It's crazy.
Yeah. How's the Autobahn? What was that like?
Autobahn is it's fantastic. So there's 2 sides to it. One side is that Germans are really good about staying on top of their road work and fixing the roads. So a lot of times you'll be traveling places and you're like, oh, it's going to be a straight shot. The Autobahn's going to be unrestricted the entire way. And then like you're going to hit so many different sections where they're doing construction and it slows down and stuff like that. But then on the other hand, you've got those areas where it is unrestricted and you can just push your car as fast as you want to go.
Is everyone going fast as hell?
Yes. Everybody's booking it. There's
What would be like the average speed?
average speed. Average speed's probably about 100 miles an hour.
Isn't there lanes? Like, don't they have certain, like, you're supposed to be in a certain lane
Yeah,
if you're going to go this fast?
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
far right lane is the slow lane. If you're just moseying along, you're in the far right lane. The middle lane is to like pass the far right lane. So if you're trying to pass somebody over there, you pass them, then you get back over, and then the left lane is the fast lane, or as we like to call it, the oh shit lane, and that's and that's people just haul and just boom. So if you're in that middle lane and you got to pass somebody in the middle lane, you'll jump into that far left lane and you'll look in your rearview mirror and like 100 yards out, you'll see a guy flashes brights, and literally long enough for you to get past the car and get over, Lamborghini will just go flying by at 200 miles an hour, just booking it. And like that's so going that fast probably isn't the norm, but like a lot of cars are running like 140, 150 miles an hour. I know in my
That's
Audi,
so fast.
my Audi
crazy
S4 running like going to and from work just on a regular day would be like 120 miles per hour for me.
Jeez,
And that was just comfortable cruising speed. I put it on cruise control and just run 120 miles an hour to and from work, because from where I live to Ramstein Air Base, it's unrestricted the entire way. But there'd be some days when I'd be coming home like after the gym or whatever, like I got the pre-workout in my system still, so I get on the Autobahn and like there's cars that are just flying, so I'm like, okay, I'll play. So I'll get going and I'll get doing like 145, 150, 160,
I'll play.
yeah. And like you're just flying and stuff. But
I've
people wreck?
What is it?
Do people wreck?
They do, but not very often. Not very often. Yeah, it doesn't happen a lot. When it does happen,
well, if you're going
bad.
140 miles an hour, 200 miles an hour, I'd be
It's
super careful.
Well,
man.
plus you got everyone else is probably super aware.
Everybody's very aware, very
Yeah.
very cognizant of what's going on around them and stuff.
Yeah.
And plus, not everyone's driving either.
Yeah.
So that's like a big. There's probably a reason why there's not as just less traffic.
Yeah, there is. There is.
I've noticed over here when I'm driving with you and you're driving, I've noticed when you do go into the left lane to pass someone, you always speed up faster and faster, and you come like past them and slow back down.
Yeah.
It seems like you're like driving on the Autobahn again.
Yeah, I definitely got used to it over there. It feels weird, like when I drive around here, because sometimes I feel like, man, I am going so slow. And then other times, so Germany's really weird. Like the Autobahn, go as fast as you want, but then you'll get off in a neighborhood where it would normally be like 35, 40 miles an hour, and their speed limit is like the equivalent of like 15 miles per hour. So you get off and you're going through this neighborhood and you're like crawling and you're like, what the heck? So it's weird for me. So like whenever I'm on like the main road over by Walmart, I feel like everybody's just like, whoom, whoom, like flying, And I'm like, man, like this speed limit seems so fast for this area. Like in Germany, this would be like 20 miles per hour. But like,
Then our 4 lanes are slow as shit.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. Then you
yeah.
get on the highway and I'm like, I'm starting to run like 85 and I'm like, whoa, I'm in America. I got to slow back down. And then that's the other thing too. Cops don't pull people over in Germany. Like you'll never have to worry about getting pulled over by a cop for like speeding or anything like that. Even if you got like a headlight bulb out or a tail light bulb, the cops they leave you alone. They don't mess with you.
So what happens if you're on those streets going like 15 miles an hour and like going faster than that? Like
in Germany?
Yeah, like in those,
Nothing.
They won't pull you over for any of that.
Nothing. I was coming out of the base one night and I was in the Audi and there was a Dodge Challenger in front of me and we were coming out of the base and it's like 70 kilometers an hour down the straight stretch and me and this Dodge Challenger just, wow, we get it. And like I'm doing like 120, 140 kilometers or not for I was probably doing like 110, 120 miles per hour. But I'm going down the straight stretch. And like as I'm going down the straight stretch, Polizei goes the opposite direction. I jam on my brakes because I'm like, dude, I'm going way over the speed limit. Didn't even bat an eye. He just kept going about his business. But they have speed cameras everywhere in Germany.
So you get tickets.
Exactly. So like, the cameras do their intended job. They catch people speeding and they give you a ticket and you literally pay it online. I log into my Service Credit Union bank account and I pay it as a bill and I pay the ticket. That's it. It's that simple.
That's how it was in Columbus.
Well,
Really?
That's how they.
yeah.
Most of them, they're actually over here in America. They're considered civil. They're not criminal. It's like it's a civil.
Okay.
It's a civil, basically civil crime. Basically.
Right.
So it's basically just the city, and you got to call the city like civil department, and that's how you pay it.
Right.
So it's not exactly a crime, like
Unless you get
a
a bunch
criminal
of 'em.
crime. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Really?
I don't know anything about that.
Your insurance definitely goes up. That blows.
Well, it doesn't go to the insurance. Like if you get it, it won't go to the insurance because it's civil. It's not.
Bro,
criminal.
yes, it does.
No, dude, I
My dad's
just got one
insurance
here.
is expensive.
Well, if you get
Because
caught,
he gets a shit ton of speeding
no,
tickets.
but that's if you get caught by a cop. That's criminal.
Oh, yeah.
If
Oh,
it's
a
a camera,
camera.
if it's a
Okay,
camera,
okay.
that's civil. It's not criminal.
Okay, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't know they had speed cameras here in America.
No,
It's terrible.
it's not very often.
That's
Oh,
Big
okay.
Brother.
I know someone. I know someone in Columbus that I think they got clocked going like 110 in a 35,
Holy
and got clocked by a red light camera.
Oh my gosh.
You could They probably got so close to. I mean, what's a speed? A speed camera probably can clock it up to like 200, really.
Yeah.
But like, everything else is blurred.
Yeah.
Except
the license plate.
Yeah.
That's funny.
They got him.
Jeez.
They got him. But yeah, that part was pretty cool about Germany. You don't have to worry about cops, over there. Like in America, I feel like anytime you see a cop, you instantly pump your brakes because and you start checking everything, like my speed and turn signal out. Like what could he possibly pull me over for? In Germany, like I see them, and I might be hauling over the speed limit and I don't even care. Like because I know they're not going to bother me. But I did notice that the last year that I've been in Germany, and then also the previous years, I've never once seen a cop pull somebody over on the side of the road. I've never seen a car, a cop with somebody pulled over on the side of the road. Whereas like since I've been back in America for like the 4 days, I've seen like 4 or 5 people pulled over along the side of the highway, and I'm like, I don't miss that. Yeah, I don't miss that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of the things that
well, I feel like the cops here especially really pull people over for petty shit.
probably
it's by design.
It's petty shit to get the big shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is not how you should go about it.
Right.
You're innocent until proven guilty.
right.
Like
Give
that's
me,
how I
give, me
feel.
the, give me the chance to do wrong. Come on.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
you shouldn't be on the lookout for like people doing bad stuff. That's like why the DEA and crap is like to me it's unconstitutional because
Yeah.
one you're you have to spy on someone to even find probable cause.
Yeah.
And so like to me that's just backwards. Like
Yeah.
it shouldn't even be a thing.
Yeah, I didn't like that whole part about like cops pulling people over because it turns into a whole different thing. Somebody that got pulled over for the taillight being out might go to jail.
They might have
15
like
minutes later
a
'cause-
little joint or
right,
something
exactly.
like that.
They might go to jail 15 minutes later. 'cause
Joint.
they got,
You don't go to jail for a joint anymore.
anymore. Oh, since they
It-
decriminalized it.
It probably also depends on what kind of.
if a certain amount, it's actually just a minor misdemeanor. It's just like a speeding
Yeah,
ticket.
isn't it up to like 4 grams or something like that?
I think that's actually might be like a pound. I'm pretty sure now.
A pound?
Oh,
Jesus
damn,
That's a lot of
hey.
weed.
Christ.
Yeah, like you can have a lot still. And
Well, see, what the problem is they're going to start running into is that happened in, I think, New Jersey or something, that these cops made this huge bust they're like, oh, we caught this couple driving, and they had a whole truckload full of pot.
I think I saw
And then what ended up happening, it was hemp. Like they were farming hemp.
Yeah.
And they were bringing it to sell it.
Well,
And
those are
like,
just
they
idiot
sued
cops
them. Well,
right
they
there.
sued them. Well,
Good.
that's
That's
the
a
problem
good
is
thing.
that
They're
they
idiot.
look exactly the same.
they do they smell the same? You
Yes,
still
they're
smell
like. So hemp is
Hemp's probably not as
a
strong.
strand of. It's a sort of strand of sativas.
it.
But hemp doesn't really have any THC in it. It has
Right.
low
Right. You
a low
can't get
amount of
high off
cannabis.
of
Yeah.
it.
But
So-
the thing it's amazing for is making shit.
One
Yeah.
thing I have a
Use it for
question
everything.
with hemp, and maybe you could enlighten me, Frank, is what part of the plant are they using? Is it the whole plant?
Mostly the stem.
The stem?
Depends on what you're gonna do. Like you'll probably use the stem to make rope or something like that. But I'm guessing a lot of the leaves and all that other shit left in it, other than the stems, is going to be ground down and then made into a pulp. Which is the reason why it was banned in the first place was because it was putting wood pulp companies out of business and people that are making paper and shit.
It's putting everybody out of business because you can use it for so much different
Yeah, I
stuff.
mean the Declaration of Independence was signed on hemp paper.
Yeah.
Like hemp is just
that's what I
such a
heard. That's
good
what I heard.
commodity.
That's where I heard
It's
hemp from.
really laborious though. Don't get me wrong, because you would have to go through each plant and make sure it's a female. Well, now that would just be for if you wanted to harvest it for like CBD or something like that.
Right.
But like hemp, you still have to go and weed it by hand because you can't spray it or because there's no pesticides made for hemp.
So I've heard
Right.
in places where pot's legal and they're growing pot, they're really pissed off at hemp farmers because their plants are cross-pollinating with their super weed plants and making them weak and shitty, yeah.
Well, dude, that's their fault. Hemp is
That-
such a bigger.
that's
Hemp
nature,
is
isn't
so
it?
much more useful than pot.
Yeah.
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 That's
But
the
not
thing,
as
I'm-
much money in it for like those farmers who have the big grow ops. Probably, right?
Dude, you can make a lot of money off of hemp.
Oh yeah. I bet.
Fair enough.
Like just think of all the things that wood is used for, paper and shit.
But not per pound. You could make more money per pound than you could with like smokable pot.
Oh, I bet you could nowadays.
For hemp? No way,
Yeah.
bro.
Well, since pot's becoming legal now.
Well, yeah, dude. Like in Canada, some places that it's been legal for so long of time, it's like
Dirt cheap.
$5 a gram.
That's
Where-
some
No
good
shit.
stuff.
Damn.
Yeah, like
Is it really?
crazy cheap. Like California is not making very much money off of it because the black market is surpassing them. because of
Of
how
course
cheap
it
it
is.
is.
And
Yeah,
you-
because
it's not
California
taxed.
taxes
Yeah,
and shit.
yeah.
Like taxes is the biggest reason.
Yeah.
We're taxed too. I think we're taxed too much.
I'd say you're probably right.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
But there's a lot of stuff to pay for.
Oh, a lot of stuff.
You got to pay for the boys over in Germany, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
You got to pay for education, a little bit of health care.
The one tax I think is just the worst is property tax. I think property
Yeah, it's a
tax is
weird
just
one.
wrong
I
because
don't
it's
really
like,
understand property tax.
well, you can buy your house and everything, but if you don't pay this ridiculous sum of tax money,
Right.
you lose your house.
Right.
Like
That's not very American in my mind.
well, it wasn't even a thing. It was I'm fairly certain
Look that
something
up.
in the Constitution.
One property tax start.
Income tax was the same. Nashville,
Dude, I'm
Tennessee,
more
there's
fine.
no income tax.
I'm more fine with an income
There's
tax.
no income
than I am
tax
a
on-
property
No,
tax.
in Nashville,
somewhere.
in Tennessee, there's no income tax.
But it's
Well,
all
that's super nice.
It's all taxed when you buy stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
okay, so it's a little higher in the buy. Okay.
But then a lot of those guys will go to different states to buy same products. You know, because then you don't get taxed as much. So
Yeah,
the state
yeah.
might lose out on some money there.
Property tax.
You can do that with like liquor and stuff. In Indiana, sometimes liquor's way cheaper.
It is cheaper there. That's why a lot of people go to like definitely get their liquor and beer in Indiana because it is cheaper there. Yeah.
And then like there's certain states where wine's a lot cheaper.
It's actually easier to make alcohol and liquor in Indiana.
Like legally?
Like legally, yeah.
Get
Like to get
licenses?
licenses and stuff in Indiana than it is Ohio.
That's interesting because Indiana seems kind of like a hardcore state when it comes to like substances
Yeah.
and things like that.
Did you know? Oh, Indiana was actually the first state to make right turns on red lights legal.
Nice.
Yeah, they were the
God
first
for
ones,
them.
and they were the only ones. And then like people were like, "This is outrageous."
Dude, I think you'd be able to turn left on those guys. If
There-
no one's
there-
coming.
there- it is. It's actually you are allowed if there's no one within like 500
Really?
feet of you. Or yeah, 500 not feet,
Sweet.
yards. 500 like I don't know what it is, but you are like if there's no one around, you can take a left turn, run the right light.
There's that red light in Montezuma.
Yeah.
You know
Oh
the
yeah,
one?
I know
Yeah,
exactly
it's
which
like
one.
In the
Yeah,
middle of
the-
Montezuma. There's no people in Montezuma hardly.
Yeah.
One.
Property
Stopping
tax was
light.
around since 1796.
That's pretty.
Wow.
That's pretty OG.
1796.
Yeah, I know, but the income tax, that shit was added in like the 1900s.
Yeah, dude, but it'd be way cooler not to have property tax because then you could just
Oh,
hang out
definitely.
on land that you own. You wouldn't
Oh,
have to
yeah,
pay anything.
yeah.
That would be
That would be
sweet.
pretty
Well,
sweet.
like-
You pay property tax on more than just your house, right? Don't you pay on other things too, or is
Well, you
it's-
pay it on
it's
your,
the
if
value
it's
of your
like
home.
agriculture, that gets taxed differently.
Okay.
And like your home value, it's all based off the value of the land. And agriculture is usually pretty high
But they get
value.
breaks, don't they?
Somewhat. I mean, that's how, pretty much the only way to make money off of farming anymore is off of government subsidies. Which is,
I was wondering about that because like you'd think a lot of restaurants, especially, would want really fresh produce. So like, I wonder if there's any market for.
yeah,
like-
but they just pair up with a local farm. One restaurant is just going to go
Yeah,
with
yeah,
one
but-
local
Yeah,
farm.
it's kind of like MVP Dairies with Dannon, like that kind of thing.
Well, I'm pretty sure they do with other shit.
I'm pretty sure they just have a contract just with Dannon.
Yeah, Dan paid for the whole farm.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
no
fairly
shit.
sure, or some of it at least.
So that makes sense. But I think it could be a potential business idea, and I might do it someday. Buy farmland and grow like vegetables and shit like that.
Good luck.
Yeah.
specifically
It's a lot of
catering
labor.
to the restaurant?
lot of
to
labor.
the-
It's a lot-
And that's the thing. It's a
well,
lot of labor. There's not a lot of people working that
If
kind
you
of job.
if you look at back to the 60s, my dad would tell me this when he was a kid. Like you would, that's what it was like.
Yeah.
There was a lot more
There's
vegetables
asparagus
and shit.
farms by my house.
Exactly. And then the government started pushing subsidies on it. That's why corn since the late 60s has been around $4.30 a bushel.
Corn and beans.
Corn
Yep.
is not even that good for you.
And why do you think everything's made out of corn now? It's
Yeah, it
'cause
makes sense.
It's the
There's
only thing you
shit
can
ton of
make
it.
money off of because
Right.
it's not about the money. Well, I mean, it obviously helps, but that's the only reason why you have to own a shit ton of land to make money off
And
of farming.
one thing
Right.
that I think is understated about the corn and soybean rotation is that it's terrible for the dirt. Dude, the dirt
Yeah,
by my house is close to sand.
Oh yeah.
Compared to the dirt in my yard, it's like brown and black.
Well,
and
Yeah,
I
clay.
mean,
they just
only
dump
two
nitrogen.
is that's not good.
No, I think they could, I would be for more
Like
cover
we
crops and
will
things like that.
rotate wheat, and then we have cover crops in the winter.
Now, is there any subsidy on wheat?
Oh, yeah, there's subsidies on all those crops.
So
dude.
why don't people grow more wheat then? I don't see any. All I see is corn and soybeans.
You don't see very many wheat farms around here. It's mostly just corn and beans. It's
I mean, no,
basically what you
dude,
see around
you're
here.
crazy. There's wheat farms, like
Maybe it's just
when
the
I
ones
work,
around my
no,
house.
it's
Yeah.
by your house, but like that's probably a big farm just owns those. But like I remember we farmed like I baled 3,000 bales of straw for a week when we
I've seen some
farmed a
straw
shit
farms,
ton,
I guess, yeah,
which
yeah.
is wheat, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
Like straw comes from wheat.
I thought it was like a long grass, but that makes sense.
Well, you just. I think
so
they're
ignorant.
aren't they usually like smaller fields though? Like smaller.
No, not. It's used as a you cycle that crop as well as corn and beans too.
Is there a lot of farms in Germany? Like you see a lot of those kind of farms. Just
There's probably a lot less land.
there's a lot.
No,
less.
there's a lot of farmland in Germany.
Is it really?
Yeah, there's a lot of land in Germany. They're really big on not cutting down forestry and stuff, and not destroying land. They try to build into it and stuff. So there's a lot of farmland out there. I don't know exactly what they grow, to be honest.
You don't
Got to
pay
feed the
attention?
people somehow.
Yeah,
They can. I mean, they probably import a lot of it too.
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. It's funny. I live out in the farmland, but I don't really pay that much attention. I know a lot of them have pastures where they have like cattle and stuff like that.
Which
but
you don't see anymore around here. I mean, you see it
There's some.
somewhere.
Yeah.
a
like-
lot of them have farmland with like livestock and stuff. You do see
Yeah,
that a lot.
dude.
But as far as like crops and stuff, I don't know if I've ever really seen any or paid enough attention to really see any. But yeah. They
Fair enough.
got a
Well, the
lot-
problem
lot
is
of
it just
farmland.
takes nowadays it takes so much land to make money off of crops,
Right.
Yeah.
which land's a lot of money usually.
How much land do you farm now?
Oh well, I don't know, probably like 50 acres maybe.
That's a lot.
Not really.
And,
It's
yeah,
all- it's not in the
Can't
scheme
make
of
any money
things,
off
but
of
it
I mean, you
is-
can make some money off of it.
It is compared to like how much it takes.
Well, it's like mainly the good thing about it is my dad does it just to keep him busy.
Yeah. But 50 acres is still a lot to take care of for one person.
Not
really.
It's not that much.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
There you go.
Like when
I've
I-
never done it
Do
before.
you
When I
have,
worked
like-
on the farm back in high school, we did like 3,000 acres, and then we also
Holy
raised
cow.
130 head of steer of silage fed steer. So
Yeah,
we would take
but you're farming a lot of other people's land then?
you
and,
rent
like,
out
renting it?
you rent out people's lands. But like the steers, that was all silage fed. So silage is you have a hay field and you bale so like clover and alfalfa and shit. Maybe alfalfa. But like you cut it all and you cut it a little wet, but you don't want to cut it too wet. Like over 45% moisture is really high in hay because it'll catch on fire if you bale it. So like you bale it somewhat wet, pretty wet, and then you bale it up and then you wrap it in this white plastic.
I've seen
And
those.
then it'll slowly it decomposes, it molds, it creates gases, and it almost cooks in there. And it's really healthy for cows. Because cows' stomachs
Wow.
are completely different than ours.
Well,
I mean,
Right.
don't they have
three.
like 3? That's what I was saying.
And one of them is just mainly their rudiment, I think, is they just chew stuff, put it in the first stomach, and spit it back out.
Do you think
crazy.
pasture-fed cows are better than like silage-fed cows or something?
I think it's terrible to keep a cow in a little barn, dude. It was like after factory farms took off, probably in the 90s, it was just terrible for cows.
Yeah,
like
it's
cows used
no
to
way
be
to live.
held next to like a dog. Like your cow gave you milk and your cow gave you food to last the winter and everything. And now a cow is on the level of a chicken, where like a chicken is a really dumb animal.
Really
Right.
dumb animal.
Really like cows are herdists, but like chickens will follow the herd completely.
It's pretty sad. Do you think there'll ever be a push to
It already-
shift
I
the way?
mean-
There's some push, but not like
I don't
legislative
think
wise.
a push that'll actually matter. The problem is that like it's not a push where it matters. Like
Yeah. Well, and if you get rid of that, I think the meat will be healthier for humans. Like
Yeah.
way more
oh
healthier
yeah,
for
dude.
humans.
And, like
but it'd be
than it
more
is-
expensive.
they pump those
Yeah, it would be.
they pump those cows full of antibiotics. Well,
Yeah.
you can't slaughter cows within a month of giving it antibiotics too. I'm pretty sure it's a month. So like if you gave it antibiotics within a month, then you can't butcher it. So which is like sometimes it was the reason why it's sometimes a problem is because like you might have a heifer, which is a cow that hasn't gave birth yet, because a dairy cow has to give birth to be able to produce milk. And so, like, you might have a heifer that has a calf when she's too young, and you probably had to give it antibiotics because it probably was using too much energy, or it might have got sick too while it was pregnant. You couldn't bring it to the slaughter before it died. So it's kind of just like you waste the meat.
Yeah.
Which you don't waste the cow. Like if a cow dies and you couldn't get to the slaughter in time, usually it's because of antibiotics. You would put it in the manure pile, and it would you use it for fertilizer.
Yeah.
Do you think that all the people in America, like our infrastructure for like how we feed people, like it would be too difficult to change that, right? Like making it better
I don't
for,
think
for
so,
the,
dude.
for the
You don't think
cows,
so?
for the cattle.
It's hard to say, man.
I don't know, dude. I feel like they need more trains need to start being used again.
Dude, I saw a train
can't-
today. It was double stacked. We were out towards
Yeah.
Greenville. They were moving some stuff in that train.
What is it? I mean, like, people don't realize how much more efficient using just a steel wheel on a steel rail is compared to a car.
It's
Like,
just the scale of it, right?
Yeah, well, plus of how much. Well, because there's less friction between a steel wheel and a steel rail.
And it doesn't have to stop at all.
Yeah, exactly.
doesn't,
and
yeah.
that's why,
True,
because
true.
it can't stop as fast because there's not enough friction. It's like that's why.
And it's heavy.
Oh no.
Yeah,
shit.
exactly.
Oh,
It
that
will
makes
never,
sense.
it
That
will
makes
never
sense
stop.
now.
It
I
takes
know.
forever to stop. But like, since there's less friction, it takes less energy to move the train. So like a train can tow so much weight. That's why it's really dumb if like a Ford F-150 pulls like a 1 million pound train, because like I think the coefficient of steel on steel is like 0.3.
Yeah. So
Which is like
it looks fancy on an ad, though.
of the power it actually would take if
Right.
it was just like a car or just one friction coefficient.
Are trucks popular in Germany?
No, not really. You get your random Germans that are like obsessed with like American vehicles. So,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, big trucks, and you know their equivalent of a sports car is not like a Lamborghini, a Ferrari. It's like a Ford Mustang, Chevy Corvette. Like that's what they love.
That's so
but
funny.
other than
Crazy.
that, no, you don't see any trucks over there.
Don't-
The roads are so small. The parking garages are so small. You wouldn't be able to, probably 70% of the trucks that you see in Ohio wouldn't be able to park or fit in these these regular places in Germany.
Do you hear the difference? Like, you can say if you're walking down the road and in the city and you hear like a Challenger, like can you pick out an American car? Like, do they come out? Do you hear them faster compared to just because all the other cars are BMWs? And because they sound a little bit different. than
Yeah,
the gasoline.
usually the Americans that are over there, a lot of them are military members and stuff like that, and they put really loud exhaust on their vehicles. Germans aren't real big into that. They just they buy really nice cars and they drive them stock. So if I
Yeah.
hear something loud and obnoxious coming, I'm like, I bet that's American. And like 9 times out of 10, it's like some army guy, from Baumholder who's got like a Challenger with like glass packs in it or something. Like it just sounds like crap, and I'm like, yeah, of course that would be an American.
That's funny.
But yeah, I can pick out some of them.
That's why
Loud and proud.
That's
Yeah.
why the Germans who are look at your car are pissed off in America.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that.
They probably live next door to one of those guys that
Yeah.
wakes up at 5 a.m. every morning and starts his car
Pipes
up.
off.
Yeah.
Look at me.
The South Park episode with
Yeah.
The Harley.
The Harley-
Nobody's looking at us.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I piss my neighbors off when I start my Harley up because I got it in the garage and I get up at I leave the house around for PT days. I probably leave at 5:30 or maybe.
That's awesome. You can
somewhere
get a
around there.
Harley still.
Yeah. So I had mine in America and I just brought it over there. But actually, Harleys are taking off over in Germany. Harley sold more bikes this last year in Germany than they ever have before. So it's starting to pick up, and the pre-owned Harley market's taking off over there. So they're getting pretty popular.
Brady, I want to right into the gang. He's in a gang.
Gang. It's motorcycle
Gang.
club. Legitimate motorcycle club.
Motorcycle gang.
I think
That's it.
gang's called a club too, right?
No, I don't think so.
Gang.
It's the first rule about Fight Club.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. All right.
No. No. It's a regular old motorcycle club.
What's it called?
It's called Baumholders. Baumholders MC, and it's out of Baumholder, Germany. So Baumholder is a small town, and they have an army barracks out there. But the actual name of the club is Baumholders.
That's a dope name.
Holders
That's
of
a
the
name.
bombs. Yeah. So that's it right there.
Oh
But
hell yeah, that's a cool ass crest.
Yeah. So
Beautiful.
Thank you. But yeah,
wings.
You got that patch on?
no, not yet. So I'm actually I'm prospecting for them right now. So right now I'm the lowest of the low. I'm a lazy piece of shit prospect.
Well, isn't there a step before prospect? Didn't you go through like something and then you became a prospect and then
Yeah, so normally it's called like a hang around. So you like hang around the club, you're friends with the people. They invite you out to like their open houses, their parties. You go with them to some of the other clubs' parties, like their brother and sister clubs and stuff like that. And then that's pretty much it. You just hang around basically. And then after that, somebody will usually offer for you to like ride with the club. They'll ask you like, do you want to prospect? Which that's what happened to me. I hung around the club. I was me and a buddy of mine. We used to ride and go to a different club, which is actually a sister club of the Bomb Holders, but it was the Caveman MC. So we used to go there on their open houses, and we'd shoot pool and have beers and stuff like that, and hang out. And then just by chance, we got an invite for an open house at the Bomb Holders Clubhouse from this guy named Max. So he was writing me on Facebook, and I was like, yeah, me and a buddy, we usually go to Caveman, but we'll come over and hang out with you guys. And he was writing me, and he seemed like he had like really good English. So I was like, man, I don't know if this guy's like military or like, American or if he's German or whatever. So then he started sending me voice messages, and he's like, hell yeah, brother, come on out to the club. We're gonna have a good time. There'll be some liquor, drinks are real cheap. We'll shoot some pool. It'll be a good ass time, brother. So I'm like, all right, this guy's obviously American. Like, where the fuck is he from? So I went out and started hanging out at the Bomb Holder Clubhouse. We went there and we'd shoot pool and smoke shisha and drink and stuff like that and have a good time.
Shisha's big over there. They do hookah.
Shisha's real big. Hookah's real big. They got a lot of hookah lounges and stuff. Yeah.
Manhattan Project.
Yeah.
That's what we called it back in the day. We'd be sneaking around town with our hookah.
Oh, really?
So when we'd text, like if our parents stole our phones, they would know what it was. We'd call it the Manhattan Project.
Manhattan Project. That's funny. Yeah, so we'd go over there and hang out and stuff like that. And then Max is actually a really cool dude, but he's half German, half American. So he spent like half of his life in Bomb Holder, Germany, and then the other half he spent in Texas. So that's where the really southern accent comes from. But like, you can be talking to him in perfect English, and then he'll turn and start speaking German to somebody like, oh, servus, alles gut, bruder, la 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 la. And you're just like, holy shit, all right, this guy's fluent. So like, so I started hanging out and everything like that. And then they invited me to ride out to one of our other sister clubs, the Devil Ducks MC, really big club. So we went out there, and they have like a couple big parties every year, and this is one of their really big parties. So we went out there, and like, it was a ridiculous party. Like they had like food and drinks and everything. Like there was music, like big old fire pits and stuff. So I went out there and hung out, and I met like a bunch of the other clubs and stuff like that. And Max had asked me like while we were on the trip, he was like, hey, do you want to ride for us? Like, do you want to be a prospect? And I was like, yeah, sure, man. Like, I'd love to ride for you guys. Like, you guys are really cool. Like, they kind of took me in like family and whatnot. So, so as we were going around the party, like, even though technically I wasn't a prospect yet because I didn't have my cut or anything like that, I hadn't been like initiated yet. They were telling everybody like, oh yeah, this is Brady. Like, he's our new prospect. He's our new American prospect. And they were like, oh, you're from America. So like instantly right off the bat, everybody loved me because I was American, and they were all really, really chill about it. So like, they were buying me drinks and everything. We were having a good time. And then after the party, they basically, like, a lot of the members from these different clubs told like the older members from the Bomb Holders, like, yeah, that Brady guy, he seems like a really good dude. Like, that's a good choice for a prospect. So basically, like, whenever I got back there, like, okay, you said you want to be a prospect. If you want to be a prospect, this Saturday's our open house. Like, show up on your motorcycle this Saturday if you want to be a prospect. So I was like, oh shit, okay. So I showed up that Saturday, and I was downstairs in the bar, like, hanging out with Max, drinking, and all the other members were upstairs. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen Sons of Anarchy or anything like that.
I've seen a couple episodes.
No, okay. Well, some of the terminology might be familiar, but like, all the other members were like in their meeting room, like going to church basically, which is like when they have their meetings and stuff. So like these are all like the older club members that have been in the club since the 70s and stuff. So like they're the big wigs,
the elders.
The elders who are like calling the shots and whatnot. So they were all in the meeting room, and Max was like, just wait down here. They'll call you back there or whatever, And then like a couple of the members came up to me and they told me like, hey, when you go in there, like keep your chest out, head up high, blah, blah, blah. They were like giving me tips and stuff for going in there. So, because you basically like get interviewed when you go in there. So finally, they called me back a couple of times. So I go back there and they're like, no, we're not ready. Go. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I go back down to the bar and I'm hanging out with Max. So finally they call me back and they're ready. So I go in there and they're all sitting there laughing, drinking and stuff like that. So like slowly one by one, they start kind of like asking me questions and interviewing me. Why do you want to ride for us? Blah, blah, blah. All these different questions. How does your wife feel about you riding for us? Blah, blah, blah. So I'm answering these questions and stuff like that. So they were talking to me, and one of the other members who's half American, half German, his name's Chris. He was like, Brady. He was like, I don't know you too well. You've been hanging around for a little bit, but Max swears up and down by you. And he was like, I'd rather have a bad guest than a bad brother. But Max swears up and down by you. So we're gonna give you your prospect badges for bomb holder. And he was like, you've got 2 hours to find a way to get this onto your cut. And he was like, however you got to get it on there. And then I'm going to come take your cut and I'm going to shake it as hard as I can. If anything falls off, you're in trouble. But he's like, you got 2 hours to get this on your cut. And I was like, holy crap. So like, they basically, made me a prospect. So as soon as I went out, I was like, oh, how am I going to get some way to put this on my back? And
your cut being your vest.
Yeah, my vest. Yeah. That's what identifies like what club I ride for. But one of the other guys that was there, becoming a prospect with me, who's been a hang around for the club for a long time, he was like, "Hey, bro, I got safety pins. Like I already knew they were gonna do this. I got safety pins, so you can pen it up." Well, this leather is really thick, so I'm trying to push these little safety pins through, and I can't. But like I'm still trying, And like 10 minutes after I get out of the meeting, and I'm trying to put these in, since I'm now the prospect, my buddy Michel comes over, and he's like, "Hey, Brady, go down to the bar. You have to work the bar. Somebody wants beer." And I'm like, I'm trying to put this on my cut. He's like, "No, go work the bar. It doesn't matter." So I'm like, fuck. So I go down and I'm trying to work the bar and like serve people. I'm bartending and trying to serve drinks and stuff. And like in between drinks, I take my cut back off and like, finish putting stuff on. And like the clock's ticking down. So I'm like, shit. So eventually I got it on the back and I was like serving people drinks. And, Chris came down and grabbed it and shook it real hard and nothing came off, thankfully. So I was like, whew. But yeah, so that was pretty much how I became a prospect for them, and I've been riding for them for like 3 months now as a prospect, like 3 or 4 months. Yeah,
that's a cool thing to be a part of.
There. Yeah, it is pretty cool. Like they're very relaxed, very chill. They're not a very like big club as far as like they don't have like a shit ton of chapters everywhere. Like the bigger clubs like Hell's Angels and like Banditos and stuff like that. Like they've got clubs like international, in the UK, here in America and Germany, like even over in Asia. But we're not like a huge club like that. But we do have like a decent amount of members. I want to say there's like 70 or 80 members in our club. So they're very laid back, not very political. They're good people. They like to have a good time. They're definitely some crazy people. But yeah,
crazy people like partying or what?
Yeah, crazy people like partying. Definitely. Those guys are animals. Like anytime they get together, like I'll go and I'll be like, like they'll get together like 2 PM. And I'm like, all right, and I'll get there and like they're drunk and I'm like, what? And then like, and they'll just keep drinking from then until like 6 o'clock the next morning, and I'm just like, oh my god.
And they're probably good.
Yeah, they're good at it. Like there's this one big guy named Sven, and like Sven
just sounds like someone that can drink a shit ton of beer.
Picture like your big beer belly German biker, and that's
God.
Sven, and he laughs really hard. He's like, yeah, like that's Sven, and like this guy, he can just put away so much alcohol and just drink, like I don't even understand how he does it, but yeah, like they're just wild people. Like
Dude, the Germans know how to drink too.
They do. They know how to drink, and like Sven's always getting like bottles of like moonshine from like Hungary and Budapest and like random places, and he'll bring it back and be like, prospect, drink this. So I'll drink it, and like 2 shots later, I'm like, oh my god, like what is going
Sven's
on?
over here.
Yeah,
another one.
Yeah, that's what they do. So like, yeah, and they're definitely not afraid to throw down either. They're crazy when it comes to partying, and they're crazy when it comes to throwing down. Like they don't tolerate shit from anybody. They don't let anybody disrespect them. And
you see any fights, or you get any fights?
No. Me, I haven't gotten in any fights. Like I said, they're pretty chill for the most part.
Okay.
I think everybody's smart enough to know not to mess with them. But occasionally people will pick fights with them. I'm usually either not there for it, or like the one time, one of our good buddies, when we were at the Devil Ducks, me and Max went to bed. It was like 6 a.m. We were like exhausted, so we went to bed. And shortly after we went to bed and passed out, one of our buddies got punched in the face. He got sucker punched by some guy, and then it turned into a big brawl. But like we slept through it, had no idea what was going on. But yeah, these guys, they'll get into little scraps here and there. Like
with a dude like Sven, then there's going to be an ass kicking.
Yeah. Sven messes with people. Like there was some small guy from another club, and Sven was just fucking with him. He had been messing with him all morning long, like kind of testing him to see, like, are you really about it? So he was like joking with Sven, like patting Sven's big belly, and Sven just pushed him, and he went flying off of his chair like halfway across the floor. And then he got up and was like laughing about it, and like came over and like fist bumped Sven or whatever. But Sven was probably ready to beat his ass. But Yeah, those guys
That's
are wild.
probably the best way
Damn,
to play
that's
that off, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You get some Sven.
Good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not
I'm
much
not
else you
fucking
can
up,
do
yeah.
against somebody like Sven. He's a big dude.
How when you guys do a ride, how long do you guys ride? Like how many?
For like the Devil Ducks ride, we rode about 3 hours up into Belgium, and we went to a bar up there. One of the oldest members, Max's stepdad, Lange, he's friends with the owners of the bar. So we went up there and hung out there, and it was completely open bar for us. So like we came in and like had our drinks and ate and stuff, and like it was all free.
Nice.
So we went up to Belgium and did that, and then so that was about a 3 hour ride, and then from there it was probably about another 2 or 3 hour ride back into Germany to go to the Devil Ducks. It's a small town. I can't remember the name of it. But it was probably in total there. It was like a 6 hour trip, maybe a little bit longer on stops for like gas and stuff. And it was a light drizzle almost the entire way there, and almost the entire way back. But I mean, it was a lengthy ride. It wasn't too bad.
Was that like all the way across Germany? If it was like 6 hours, how long does it take to drive across Germany?
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure.
Isn't it like 3 hours from where you are? Isn't it like 3 hours to Paris? Something like that, like pretty close.
Yeah. So where I'm at, we're like right on the border of France. We're right on the border. So I mean, if I drive 45 minutes one direction, probably a little bit longer, probably about an hour one direction, I hit France. I mean, it's
it's
are you
close.
able to go into any country you want as an American? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so because I'm military and I'm on like a SOFA agreement and like NATO orders and stuff like that, like we're partnered with these different countries and stuff like I'm allowed to be in Germany for those reasons, which means I'm allowed to go to these other countries.
All
Now,
the same
if you
ones
don't-
that Germans are allowed to go to, pretty much.
Yeah, and we can go to all of them that the military will allow us to go to. Like I think there's, I don't think we can go to Russia right now. Certain things like that, but we can go pretty much anywhere we want. But if we want to avoid like being hassled by cops because they're like, "Hey, where's your paperwork?" If you bring your passport, that you're fine.
Okay.
If you bring your passport and you say I'm military and you show your ID, they'll leave you alone. But if you're just like I'm military and you got a military ID, they'll be like, "Where's your passport? Where are you coming from? Where are you stationed?" They'll start asking you a bunch of stuff to make sure you're allowed to be there. But we can travel pretty much anywhere. But I haven't got to take a whole lot of rides with the club just yet. Just because like the weather got crappy in Germany and whatnot, so we just haven't ridden. But whenever I come back from deployment, we should have a decent summer ahead of us with a couple good rides out to some of the other clubhouses and stuff like that, and we'll go have a couple parties and stuff. So
Good.
Oh, yeah.
How long are you gonna be here?
so I'll be here for so tomorrow morning I fly down to Little Rock to go get my son who lives with my ex, and then on Friday I'll be flying back up to Columbus. So I'll be here Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then I think Monday we fly out to St. Louis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be getting around then.
Yeah.
Busy man.
Yeah, flying way too much for this vacation. I'd much rather just like come to Ohio and just stay here for like 3 weeks and just
Yeah.
hang out.
Yeah.
But
So what do you do on the base?
so I do IT,
Okay.
which I think you probably know a decent amount about IT. But that's what I do. I do IT, cyber defense.
Hell yeah, dude. That's badass. So like, how long are you working for on the base? Like what's an average working day?
So an average working day, just your typical like 8 hour work day.
Oh, okay.
So 7:30 to 4:30 in the afternoon.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so typical schedule, Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 4:30. And then we also 3 days a week get PT incorporated into that time. So we'll start PT at 7 and it'll go until 9. And then we'll report into work at 9 and then we'll work from 9 till 4:30. So it's actually a pretty relaxed schedule.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Do you
Yeah.
have like chores you have to do just purely because of the base? You're on the base, like.
No, not really.
Oh.
Not really. As a brand new airman, when you first come in, and if it's your first duty station, then they might throw some things at you, like, hey, if you live in the dorms on base, you've got BAO or Bay Orderly, so they'll rotate through all the different airmen and have you clean the dorms. Basically, you and a group of airmen will clean the dorms, and they'll have other things that like the newer airmen, they'll basically volunteer them for it and be like, hey, you guys go do this and clean this, or you guys go do this and help these folks do whatever. But as far as like once you've been in for like more than like a year or two, maybe 3, you really don't get tasked with that stuff.
That sounds
Nice.
like a,
Jacob,
sounds
what's
like
your
a good
sister do?
gig.
My sister's just she's like an administrative person. She just she's like an assistant to some really high person or something like that.
Yeah, so she's admin, which means that she could work like a ton of different jobs, but her current job is she's the secretary for the commander of the OSI headquarters. So OSI is Office of Special Investigations.
Yeah.
So they're basically like the FBI of the Air Force, if you will. So like, you know, she works with like special agents and stuff like that, and they're basically detectives and whatnot.
Yeah, she had to get a special clearance for it, and
yeah, she had to get
I got a call basically for her background, and I had to speak to this guy for 30 minutes just about Aaron.
Yeah,
I was like, holy cow!
What kind of questions did he ask?
It was really
is she loyal to her country?
Really basic stuff.
Yeah,
really
okay.
basic, but I mean, it kind of a couple questions
She
kind
runs
of got into
outside
depth.
with two
but
American flags with two shotguns.
yeah,
she's about as American as it gets. But yeah, so she works for the commander of the headquarters there. So they've got multiple OSI detachments all across Europe and Africa, and they basically try to catch anybody doing anything bad. A lot of it's like, you know,
Internally.
Yeah, internally. Internally, and some of it is externally.
Okay.
So internally, you know, a lot of child pornography cases, stuff like that. Just basic people being shitbags that are in the military, on the Air Force installation, people using drugs, different things like that. So they're in charge of kind of catching that and stopping it. But they do have people that work externally for OSI. So in the Netherlands, they've got the ICC, which is like the International Criminal Court. And OSI will be tasked with going downrange, and they'll collect intel on these people, these war criminals, and they'll capture them and bring them back to the ICC to try them. So all these different OSI detachments do multiple different things, but the headquarters is in charge of all these different detachments. So she is the secretary for the commander that's in charge of all these different detachments.
That's crazy.
So yeah. Her job is pretty like, you know, it's a lot cooler than mine.
she probably sees just some pretty cool shit.
Yeah, like
I don't know about pretty cool. Might see some pretty shitty shit.
Well,
yeah.
But,
so luckily where she sits, like it's so overarching, you know, with the hierarchy and stuff that she really doesn't see a lot of the day-to-day, like, oh, you know, child pornography case or this and that. Like, hers is really just making sure that the commander is good to go. Like he's on so many different TDYs and trips where he's going to this detachment or going here or whatever. So she's basically just taking care of him and making sure that he's good to go. But like the overall impact of that is pretty cool because, like, you know, like I said, all the detachments are doing so many different things that, like, you know, it's badass. You got all these special agents and stuff that are, like, you know, out here, they're undercover or doing these different things, and like it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Wow. It's a lot better than me giving people shared drive access every single day. So, like, you know, it's a lot better than that.
Dude, that would get boring.
Oh my gosh, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Well, at least you're in Germany. You get to enjoy it though.
That's true. Germany's nice. I've lived there before, so you know, it's not like the newness of like, oh my gosh, Germany. Like, I've lived there before, so I think that's why I miss America so much. Because, like,
are you gonna move back?
Oh yeah,
you're done.
Hell yeah.
Oh, you're just tired of it.
Hell yeah.
Are you tired of it yet, or are you kind of like, I probably will visit a lot? But
so I don't want to pin it on Germany because I don't think it's Germany that I'm tired of. I think it's Ramstein Air Base. Because the Air Force installation is it used to be really small back in the day, and it just became a hub for everything going on in Europe. It grew and grew and grew. But the infrastructure was never really put in place to support that many people. So, like, anything you go do on Ramstein, it takes forever to do it. So, like, one of the things, and this is a stupid thing, but one of the things that I was so excited about coming back to America was that you can pull up at a gas pump and pump your gas, pay for it right there on the spot, and then leave. Like, that's something we don't, because the Air Force Base is so busy and because the fuel is rationed, you have to pay at your pump. Then you have to go inside and stand in line to pay for your gas. So anytime, and it's always so busy because there's so many people, because it's such a busy base that, like, anytime I go to get gas, it's a 30-minute process. For the last year, every time I go to get gas, I wait 30 minutes, maybe sometimes longer. Like,
yeah, it's tough.
You know,
Wow.
it's simple things like that. So I think it's really the Air Force Base that, like, we're kind of tired of. Germany in itself is actually really neat. It's really beautiful. The countryside.
do you live on the base?
I live off base. Yeah.
Okay.
I live off base. I live, like, on the economy. So, like, my neighbors are Germans.
Okay. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Did you buy a house or did you?
No.
rent it? You're just renting one.
We're just renting one. Yeah. We thought about buying one, but again, like, you know, the language barrier, all the paperwork. It just would have been such a headache and a hassle, especially if we came back to the States and we were still trying to own it. It'd been really difficult. And I think the Germans have some weird rule where, like, if you buy a house, you have to own it for 10 years before you can sell it.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so, like, so there's no, like, buying houses and flipping them over there. Like, Germans
That's
are
probably why they do it, because it's a headache for the economy here.
Yeah, right. So, Germans, when they buy houses over there, it's really for either a long-term investment, or usually the house, they buy it, they pay it off, and then it stays within the family for a long time.
Okay.
So,
Is there a lot of generational wealth probably then?
probably.
Not anymore.
I don't know, man.
Not anymore.
Not after World War One and Two.
There's still got to be. I mean,
I don't know, dude.
There probably is.
Max Zeman, it seemed like he came from a well-to-do family.
It did, for sure.
And it seemed like it is semi-generational.
Just think about how much the world economy took off though in the 50s after post World War II. Everybody's Germany still had to pay off quite a bit of debt,
right?
But still, everybody's nations thrived.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say thrive because there was we had 3 recessions in the 50s.
Recovered,
3.
maybe.
Yeah, recovered at least.
Yeah.
But it gave birth to a few decades of pretty prosperous growth.
Yeah.
I just think that a lot of the generational wealth got lost with the war. Just think about how much just money just became inflated. In
Maybe.
Germany.
Oh yeah, they had stories.
It took a
of
wheelbarrow
yeah.
of money to buy a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
The same people probably hold positions of power, which might be able to set them up afterwards, things like that. But I don't know. I have no fucking idea. So
Just kind of throwing it out there.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure
Especially
there
with
is some
housing
generational
rules like
wealth.
that.
Yeah, I'm not saying there's none at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that there always will be if there's any country that's lasted as long as Germany.
Yeah.
Germany actually. It wasn't like at the beginning of World War One. It was actually a very recent
Country, right?
country. Yeah, it wasn't very.
Well,
it was a very brand new upcoming country.
Well, that's the country, but the Germanic people, the Germanic people.
Yeah,
are
but it was that country established was very young, very upcoming on World War II, and World War One. And they grew actually one of the best militaries ever seen ever
Yeah,
in World War
you got
One.
a small area like Germany taking over half the known world.
They were probably one of the best.
Those
militaries
countries
ever
were a
created.
lot bigger too, pre World War One. I'm fairly certain Germany.
Germany was a little bit bigger.
The eastern country, what was it? Bulgaria? Was it Bulgaria? I don't know.
Eastern Poland.
That's northeastern, isn't it?
I thought that was east, but yeah, look it up. I mean, we got
Bad geography.
I thought it was Poland.
I literally have a globe
they
outside.
had, they had a little bit of
gotta bring that in here.
Czech.
We should.
They had a little bit of Czechoslovakia.
Yeah, Poland. And
Yeah,
then
just Czechoslovakia. I can't even.
Czechoslovakia.
it was
Yeah, there you go.
Czechoslovakia because the Czechoslovakia were fighting before World War One, I believe, with Russia.
No, it was Austria-Hungary who did.
Oh
that.
yeah,
that
it was Austrian-Hungary Empire. They were
was fighting
fighting.
Russia, and yeah,
Germany was fighting. Germany was sending help to there too.
Yeah, because they had Germany and Austria-Hungary had basically a treaty or a pact that if something happened to each one, they would come to fight. And then they somehow got the Turkish Empire to come in and actually, but the Austria-Hungary they didn't do anything in World War One. They were absolutely trash. In World War
they
One.
started it.
They started it by killing the Archduke.
They lost a lot of land.
Yeah,
by the looks of it.
the real guy.
Well, they lost all of their land.
Yeah.
They lost their bloodline too, I believe.
Yeah, Germany was huge, bigger
Yeah.
than France.
German Empire.
Dang.
Wow.
Europe before World War One, and it literally says German Empire
Yeah, it's the German Empire.
because the German
massive.
Empire was fighting Austria-Hungary too for land.
Were they? Well, they had a pact before that World War One happened. Now that's why they came to the aid of each other. That's why Germany came to aid of Austria-Hungary because they had a pact that if something happened to them of Austria-Hungary that they would come and help Austria-Hungary. So
For as little as I know about World War II, I know less about World War One.
World War One is probably more not really more interesting, but it's crazy to think that it was literally the old times clashing with the new technology.
Mm-hmm.
They would line up in rows and just get mowed down by machine guns because
Yeah, it was.
they didn't know.
It was Germany helped Austria-Hungary
Germany-
fight Russia.
yeah.
They didn't fight each other.
No,
Yeah.
well, eventually Germany and
Eventually,
Russia,
yeah.
because German and actually the Turks actually gave the Russians like a great run for their money. They're just were crazy fighters. They're very weak, like they didn't have that great of a military, but they just fought like
The people were.
crazy people.
Well, just think of how
They
much
just
the
gave them
military changed from the 19th century to 20th century. You went from
man.
having horseback
Yeah.
to tanks.
Yeah. Well, at the beginning of World War One, they were literally at horseback.
At the
riding
beginning,
in,
the
and they're
French
just
got slaughtered in
slaughtered.
the first battle.
They-
They rode in
yeah.
on cavalry,
Yeah.
with
They were like-
swords. They're
It was crazy.
against
Well,
just dudes in trenches with
And
hunkered down with machine guns.
there's battles where literally in amount of 24 hours there was 1 million shells fired and landed on those lines, like on the trenches. There was 1 million shells fired in 24 hours and hit like imagine being one of those soldiers in the trenches just hearing constantly. They would say it's like a drum roll constantly, just brrr, like of bombs dropping on these guys. No
Dude,
wonder
that was
shell
a
shock
trench,
would happen.
that was a trench warfare too. Just imagine that.
And the crazy thing is too, like they barely had time to go in and actually remove the bodies. So like these bodies would be rotting next to you, and they couldn't do
Was
anything.
common. Trench foot was really common, where you would just your feet would be in those soaking wet too long, and then they would just die.
There was a battle I was reading about that the mud was so bad that if like they made like boards and you had to run on them, if someone came off those boards and went in, they would literally, it's like quicksand, they would just sink down and down and down and down and eventually just suffocate in the mud. They would just sink.
They also
all
used
the way
like
down.
dogs during that time too. The dogs would run the trenches.
Yeah, no, it was
Dude, that was the worst war that was ever fought.
Yeah,
and not
100%.
only that, dude, just imagine the chemicals, because they were using
mustard gas.
mustard
yeah.
gas, and that shit does not kill you right away. It just makes you boil.
It burns and boils. Like they on counts, they said it was just a massive orange, yellowish, like kind of like a wall of gas, just like very
It's a
slowly
wall of
coming towards
death.
you. And at first, people are like, "What the heck is this?" And they're just kind of like watching. All of a sudden, they get hit by it, and they're just like choking to death.
And then they start like getting all these
Yeah.
their skin literally starts boiling
terrible.
up and everything.
I'm glad
Oh.
someone else fought that one. Holy shit.
Yeah, dude.
Those guys were absolute
And
like
just think
straight men. Like they were
18-year-olds were doing that shit.
Oh yeah,
That's crazy.
16. They were
Yeah,
16-year-olds younger. Like
Oh yeah, there's probably 14-year-olds in World War One.
100%. They just didn't know. Like
Yeah.
Well,
that-
that was like that was during the age of patriotism, where it was just like,
Well,
You
also
fucker.
they marketed it as "Go see the world, go travel
yeah,
to Europe."
yeah. It was war.
no,
war,
dude, back
war
then
was
was
romantic.
not as much as that. It was like help your country.
No, but
They-
it was.
They did
That
do.
too.
They did do that. It was
There's
like
posters I've seen.
war was like romantic back then, but all of a sudden like this reality of
Wasn't
new
that-
modern era
They
came
came
in. They're
back.
like,
The
oh
pinup- the
shit,
pinup
that's
The
not
reality
always-
of trench feet.
yeah, the pinup girls, like that was created during that time. Like
Rosie the Riveter.
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly. No,
Right.
that was World
That
War
was
II.
World War II.
Oh yeah,
Rosie
yeah,
Riveter
you're
was,
right.
yeah.
You're right.
But still, though, World War One was just kind of the same. It was the same, like help your country,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, 100%.
fight the Nazi scum.
Yeah. Amen, brother.
You had like Walt Disney making like anti-Nazi
That was after
cartoons.
World War One, though, right?
No,
Nazis?
that was like before. I thought
Nazis are
in the
after World War One.
late 30s.
They were after World War One, but they rose to power before World War Two.
Yeah.
Obviously.
What?
But
Nazis.
Nazis.
Well, the German Workers' Party, which is the German Socialist
They
Worker
were
Party,
actually in war. Like they started
they
in
were
World War
they
Two
started
or World
they
War One.
started they started in like the 1860s.
They
That movement started in the 1860s.
Oh, I thought
Of,
they
like,
started in
extreme
World War
nationalism
One.
and-
No, yeah, it was the nationalism movement started in the 1860s.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem was that part of the national movement was being pushed by people that were really into like witchcraft and stuff, like the not Christianity, that shit. Like, yeah,
Oh, really?
like believing in myths and all that stuff. And that was like a big part of the culture in the late 1800s in
Oh,
Germany.
shit. Damn.
And it was weird, dude. They got super nationalist. And then the cities, their cities started getting taken over by modern people, I guess you could call them.
Yeah.
And
Modern
a lot of the Germans left and moved to the countrysides.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
World War One erupted.
World War One.
We are historians. Everything we say is 100% factual.
I slept through my history class, so I'm learning. I'm learning a lot from you guys.
Oh, dude, history is by far my favorite.
Oh, don't get me wrong. It was a good class, but I always showed up to class high as shit, so I slept through it.
Plus, it probably helps to have a good teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had some pretty good teachers in the sign up for history.
Yeah.
Did you guys have
That's awesome.
Mr. Carr?
Oh,
He might have retired. I think
he was a sub. He subbed a lot.
Yeah,
so
he
it was
subbed
pretty
for a
cool.
long time.
I had him in
Mr.
for
Mater,
world history, and he was great.
Subbed for yeah.
Dude, but I feel like the teachers, if you have some of those teachers just tell a story and
That's
you
the
can just get
best.
lost in it.
Yeah.
And they're really I feel like a good teacher is a good storyteller.
In a way.
Yeah.
So definitely history.
Yeah, definitely history.
Even
Yeah.
I
find I had a really good real estate teacher in college. This class was 3 hours long on Monday night at 7 p.m.
Oh no.
Because they want regular people to take it too.
Yeah.
And he was like a stand-up comedian. You
No
know?
shit.
Yeah, he'd have whole flows
you have to be
and
to
ebbs
keep
and
anyone interested.
punchlines, and he was skilled at it. And we stayed. I mean, it got old for sure. But when you're going 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. on a Monday, after going to classes all day,
Yeah, you
and
need
Yeah.
some
working
humor
all
for
day.
that.
Yeah, and he was very much comparable to a good stand-up comedian.
It's awesome.
It was pretty awesome.
Good class. Roger Watson, good guy.
Roger
Good
Watson.
guy. Good guy.
Good guy.
Did you give him a 5 out of 5 on Rate My Professor?
I probably did. I'm active on Rate My Professor.
I'd love to take a real estate class. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's
gotta get one.
you had to take 4 classes to get your license, and the first one is Practice and Principles, and that's the one that I took with him.
Okay.
And it's just a good overview. It's really useful. I would recommend it to anybody just because you learn a lot about buying and selling a house and
Right.
being an investor
Yeah.
in whatever state you're in.
Regardless
good-
of whether
that's a
you're
good
actually
idea.
going to go into the
Exactly.
real estate business. Is that
And-
something that you're planning on doing?
No, I just wanted to have an overlying knowledge of,
Right.
of
Dude,
what goes on.
Okay.
Real estate is
Awesome.
is the shit to
Real
get into
estate's
and make a
sweet.
lot of money.
Yeah, I know.
You can make a lot of
Once
money.
you have a lot of money.
Oh yeah, it takes money to make money. That's what they say.
Well, you don't even necessarily have to have a lot of money, I don't think. I think if you start small and then work your way up.
You
Yeah.
can flip houses for a little
Yeah.
bit until you
Yeah.
start buying properties.
Yeah,
and
so there's
renting them
that
out.
one book, I think it's John Schwab or whatever. Yeah, Building Wealth One House at a Time. But that's a good book. But that's about starting small and then working your way up and whatnot. But I mean, yeah,
I feel like that's how every good business starts, though. is
Yeah.
that the businesses that are just explode right away usually just fail pretty quick.
Yeah, that's 100%.
They hyper expand.
Facebook did all right.
Yeah, did they? They make all their money off of just data.
They make more money than a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they
They
do.
have a lot more money.
Yeah, there's something to say about both style of companies. Out in Silicon Valley, out in San Francisco, they are all about extremely fast growth, extremely fast, and they dump a lot of money into these companies that haven't posted profits yet.
Right.
You know, Uber is one of those companies. They might be posting profits now, but for the first 7 years of their existence, they were valued at $1 billion and never posted a profit.
It's crazy.
Dang.
So it's and that's
I didn't know that at
pretty
all.
common. Christian works for a startup out there.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
They have different levels of funding, and they're in C level funding or something. And it's these VCs, venture capitalists, are investing millions of dollars in this company that has some idea that makes something very specific work better than anyone else possibly could. And eventually, they're supposed to post a profit or sell or go public or something.
Silicon Valley.
It's different out there, man.
I bet it's real different out there.
I went and toured a bunch of companies out there on a
Really?
school trip. Interesting
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
I bet.
I remember
That'd
when
be
you went
fun.
and took that.
Yeah, it was real fun. Shout out to Jen Murphy. She was the teacher who got it all set up. Very life-changing experience. You know,
How long did you do that?
it was quick, but it was free. You know,
Oh, sweet.
flight. We
Sweet.
flew out there, stayed in a hotel for 2 nights,
Mm-hmm.
and then during the day we just toured tech startups.
Nice.
So we
That's
got to
awesome.
go talk to leaders at these tech startups, ask them anything we want. You know, I was asking a lot about how they work on the inside, what they use to organize things, because they're talking with a bunch of different types of people,
Right.
quickly, moving fast. You know, it's all about speed for those guys. So,
Right.
seeing the way they organize, seeing what things they use to communicate, mostly Google products from what I saw, but
Okay.
cool stuff.
What was your biggest takeaway from it? What was the biggest thing that you learned? If you could pick one, or what would be one good thing that you would share to other people?
I guess of the area itself. So you hear how expensive it is to live in San Francisco. Like,
Yeah.
why would anyone ever want to do that?
Right, very expensive.
It is truly because the smartest people in the world when it comes to that industry, which is huge right now, live right there, and they all work right there.
Right.
Mhm.
So if you're simple like me, I don't know how to do a lot of technical things, but I understand at some level. And you want to do sales or something like that, going out there and struggling for a little while could mean huge profits because you work for these tech startups for equity.
Right.
And then if they're good, if it's a good enough idea, if it catches, you can go public with it, and now your stock's worth a ton more and make you a millionaire
So
overnight.
it's basically like risk. Like if you put more risk into it, you kind of get more stuff back. Is that?
Yeah, but then a lot of them fail, and a lot of people
Right,
jump around
right,
and own
right.
a lot of equities of different companies.
Yeah.
And they have to sell it back.
Fortune favors the bold.
Yeah, but that's a
There
lot
you
of
go.
Yeah.
It takes like an entrepreneurship mentality to go out there and just work for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because it's a risk, and you're like Christian's going out there. He's making negative money over next year if he calculated it correctly.
Or it's the
Dang.
opposite, or they're a really good salesman.
Yeah, I mean, and it depends on if he makes commission and things like that, because he's gonna go out there and do sales. My roommate.
Is he working out there as like a internship type deal?
He
or
already
is
did an internship where basically he set meetings for a company that does stuff with data and cloud storage.
Okay.
And they do it in a different way to make them special. I don't fully understand it.
Right.
But now he's going out there full time, starting beginning of January, I believe, or mid-January. To first, he's going to be doing the same thing. He basically calls a list of people and tries to schedule meetings and sets invites on people's schedules, things like that. And then eventually he'll move to where he'll be closing those deals with these big companies where they control their data and organize it and give them nice information about it.
Well, good luck to Christian Barry out
Yeah,
in the
absolutely.
Dang, that'd be
Wild,
tough
wild
out there.
west.
Wild
West,
West.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
He's had all sorts of struggles trying to find some place to live.
I bet.
Oh yeah.
He's been talking to people, like trying to stay on people's couches, things like that. And eventually, one of his friends, he's staying on their couch, helping him pay rent until he can actually find a place,
Right.
get a room somewhere.
Half the people that are living in San Francisco still are all under rent control, and so like they're all paying the same value that they have been for the last 20 years. So you have like no property left in San Francisco, and then you have it skyrocketing. And like a studio in San Francisco goes for like $3,500 a month.
This is
Holy
something
cow.
real
Yeah, seriously.
interesting about the housing market out there. I was talking to Christian. I was like, so how's it work? The people who you're going to be rooming with, are they renting it from somebody normally, or do they own the place? He goes, actually, they're renting it from somebody who's renting it for somebody who's renting it for somebody who owns it. So there'll be like one guy who owns like 16 properties, and there's so much money in living out there that he'll be renting it to this guy who, for a living, he rents properties. He's got a connection with this guy or whatever. And then upcharges that rent and rents it to like 3 guys, or rents it to one guy who also is doing the same business and raising the rent and then renting it to people who actually live there.
So if the rent was initially like $2,500, by the time this fifth
they're
party
just
comes
making
in, it's
$300 or whatever it is.
$3,500. Wow.
And that's
crazy.
how crazy the housing market is out there.
Well, dude, they don't let anyone build anything anymore. I mean, there's so much regulation that you can't build. Like places have been trying to build for years, and they can't.
The surrounding area around San Francisco, like where Christian's going to be living, he lives in, he works for a company called Sumo Logic, and it's in Redwood City. It's like 45 minutes away from like downtown San Francisco, like
Isn't
where the
that
bay is.
south?
I couldn't tell you. We drove by it going from Oakland Airport to San Francisco where we stayed. But it's kind of like Tesla has a headquarters out there. Like it's a good tech area.
Isn't that north? Yeah,
I think it might be north.
yeah, because the redwoods,
Geography.
the redwoods.
Geography.
Couldn't tell you. But yeah, it's out there. It didn't seem that populated. Like by driving through it, like I expected to see more like apartment buildings, shit like that. Not a whole lot of that. So it could be something to do with regulations.
Oh, well, like
Yeah.
there's plenty of stories of people trying to build apartment complexes, but then like,
Well, the market looks so sweet if you can charge.
well, they're stuck.
$2,000 a month.
It
Right,
costs
right.
like $1 million just to even get the permits to be able to build something. Because there's so much like all the cultural protections is big over there. Like if it's a laundromat, then they won't tear it down because it's
Been there.
cultural significance.
I don't know. It's a weird area.
What? Weird area.
but a prosperous one, at least right now.
Yeah.
A lot of homeless
A
people.
lot of homeless people.
Yeah.
Prosperous for
Spare
everybody,
change?
but the homeless people.
Yeah.
No, man, they're
people
just out there
shitting
because
everywhere,
it's
too.
warm. It doesn't
Actually,
get
shit.
cold.
I bet if you were panhandling out there, it probably would be prosperous.
No.
No?
Dude, there's so many homeless people. When I went, we
You
went
gotta
out
be
one
the
night.
best homeless
Dude,
person you
there
can.
is so many homeless
Yeah,
people.
there's camps like in Oakland.
shit.
There's like whole underpasses where it's just like tents.
Oh,
and
okay.
shit.
I've
Tent,
seen
there's like
that.
Tent City.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, some of them are just, you drive down a road and it's just lined and lined and lined with tents.
How much disease do you think is running
Dude, there's
through
Oh
there?
my
the
God.
bubonic plague was found in L.A.
No shit.
The Black Plague.
At the airport, right? Or no, where was
no,
it?
it was in a homeless camp.
Oh shit, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Typhus. They found typhus in a homeless. Like people are getting typhus.
Bringing it back.
Yeah, bring it back.
So I heard that like New York City got buses and said, "All right, every
They're
homeless person,
shipping their homeless people
go out, go out."
Just like
to-
South Park.
Yeah.
It's like South Park where they're just trying to change.
That's why
and they
South
had
Park did that.
No shit.
Yeah, 'cause
I didn't know
that's
that.
real life. Like
No
New York City
shit.
was doing that, or different
They're
cities.
still doing it. They were
say,
still doing
Here's
it.
a bus pass. Here's a sandwich. Go to New Orleans.
They would pay their rent. They would get them settled in a house for like a year. These people that like haven't worked for so long and like they're
Still
like,
high
all
on
right,
crack.
Yeah.
here's an apartment for a year.
Here's a couple
Good
crack
luck.
rocks.
Yeah. Here's some clean needles. Have fun.
They give them clean needles. They have stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is
They're trying to stop the
That's
spread of
messed up.
disease. They're
That's
trying to
so
stop the
messed
spread of disease.
Well, if you got the bubonic plague coming around, that's a. I don't know if you can stop that.
You know, all the hippies and all
Dude,
the
it gets
homeless
to
people to
gets
get on a bus.
point. Yeah, I feel like it gets to a point where it's just like handing out needles for something that's illegal anyways.
Yeah.
Like,
I can see.
well, they don't also.
I can see their
They
angle.
don't arrest
I
people
do
and keep
too.
people in jail very long.
That's too
They
expensive.
don't. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, they don't.
Like Seattle's problem is that like whoever the cops don't even arrest anyone anymore, just because they'll arrest them and then they get let off. They don't get sent to prison.
Because the laws are wacky or what?
Just
Well,
because
that's
the
it.
jails are full.
Yeah, they
That-
don't
that-
have
that's
room in
actually-
the jails.
Yeah.
You can't put a homeless person who's high on drugs in the jail whenever there needs to be room for this guy who raped somebody or whatever, you know, like that. The drug offender is like the lowest one that, like, you know.
Yeah.
Personally, I kind of agree with that. Anyways, let the guy who didn't hurt anyone and just ruin his own life do
Right.
some drugs.
Well, it's like robbery and shit.
Yeah.
Actual crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that actually happens in Salina too. Like, there we arrest someone, and literally like a week later, oh look,
There he is.
didn't I just arrest that guy for
Something
selling,
really
like-
illegal.
Yeah, something pretty like, oh well,
Is that guy defecating in the
Oh,
parking
shit.
lot of the Marathon gas station? Oh, shit.
oh man, yeah,
It's an
that's-
interesting system. There's some issues in this country and in this world.
there are issues in this
But,
country.
When they they lie in very far left states. That's the truth.
Everybody's lying.
Literally,
left or
that's the
right.
truth.
Yeah,
think-
but I think it's pretty rampant in the far left.
Seven cities house
bad.
50% of the population.
It's interesting.
Oh my gosh, Big Blue.
Dude, I don't know if I could ever live in a big city like that.
No,
I think I could.
you think you could?
Yeah, for a little bit. I'm so used to moving around, though. I probably would enjoy it for like a year or two, and then I'd be like, all right, okay, I'm done with
Nothing.
this. Like,
Where-
let's go somewhere else. But
Where did you move? I know you were the Army brat. Where have you moved
So I
in
was-
your life?
so I was born on Keesler Air Force Base, which is in Biloxi, Mississippi, and I didn't stay there for long. I think my mom and dad. I think my dad was down there for training, and my mom was just pregnant with me, and I was just born there. So I don't think we actually ever really lived there. So then from there we moved to Ohio, I think.
Hey.
Or I'm sorry, hold on. We went to
Go Bucks.
I think we went to Wright Patterson first, which is in
That's Ohio.
Knob, Noster, Missouri.
Wait, Wright Patterson? There's another Wright Patterson?
We have one in Dayton.
Or not Wright Patterson.
Wright Patterson
Jesus
is
Christ.
Ohio.
What's the other
Dayton.
one? Whiteman. Jesus, holy cow.
Whiteman.
Sorry. Whiteman Air Force Base, which is in Knob, Noster, Missouri. It's in this tiny little hick town in Missouri. There's nothing out there. So we moved there first. And then after that, then we went to Wright Patterson and Dayton. I lived in Beaver Creek. So then from there, we moved to Germany. So we flew to Germany, and my dad was stationed at Ramstein. So we lived in that same
How
area.
old were you when you were in Germany?
I think I was probably 6, 7, 8, 9.
So you got some memories.
Oh, so you were an Army brat.
Yeah.
Air Force brat, but yeah.
Air Force
yeah.
brat.
Yeah, both my mom and my dad were Air Force.
Oh.
My mom was Air Force up until about Buck Sergeant, and then she got out. just to be, I guess, a stay-at-home mom because
Good
they
for
were
her.
having a bunch of kids. Then my dad was Air Force. He was enlisted up until like technical sergeant, I think, and then he got his commission and became an officer. But yeah, so then after Germany, we moved to Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C. My dad went and worked at the Pentagon. So that was when I was probably like 10, 11, 12, somewhere in there. So then from there, we moved down to Alabama, to Montgomery, Alabama. And then from there, we moved to Arkansas, to Little Rock, Arkansas. After that, we flew back over to Germany, second go-round, this time to Stuttgart, Germany, which was Army barracks down. They don't have an Air Force base. It's Army barracks. So we were stationed there for a few years. And then after that, my dad retired out of the military. So we flew back to the States and then flew back to Missouri. That's kind of where my mom and dad wanted to retire at. My dad ended up opening a Chick-fil-A out there. So my dad owns a Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fucking-fil-A,
So
dude.
every time I go home, I eat as much Chick-fil-A as I want for 2 weeks
Fuck
straight for
yeah.
free. And yeah, it's a good time.
His dad retired a lieutenant colonel and now owns a Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
That
These
sounds
guys
badass as shit.
That is crazy.
Yeah,
That's
and
a sweet life.
and my dad's like, the colonel mindset, so he runs the Chick-fil-A
That's a
like
nice Chick-fil-A.
like a well-oiled machine.
Why are
you know?
your shoes shine, boy?
yeah. No, not quite that bad. My dad's pretty reasonable, but yeah, he does. He runs it pretty good, so they definitely make a good living off of that.
Yeah, this guy, their parents actually won. What was it? The best Chick-fil-A?
Yeah,
or
so
something
every
like that?
year Chick-fil-A has an award, and it's like for the Chick-fil-A that's like highest in sales for that year. But basically what they do is when you win that award, they tell you go out to a dealership and pick out a brand new car that's worth $60,000 and we'll pay for it. So my dad, I think, has won it like 3 or 4 years in a row now.
Wow.
And he's on track to win it again this year. He finds out in like 15 or 20 days, at the end of this month, if he won it again.
So you
But,
got
like,
a lot of new cars.
I gotta get out to that Chick-fil-A.
I don't have a lot of new cars. My dad has a lot of new cars. I wish I had a lot of new cars. But honestly, it's cool though because once he starts getting newer cars and stuff, and he's got these older ones, he's like, "Hey, do you guys want to buy a car like discounted?" So me and Aaron bought like a Toyota Avalon from him that was discounted. But yeah, so he's like stacking up all these cars. So once we come back from Germany, he'll probably have 1 or 2 that he can sell to us for a good price. But yeah, so they're in Springfield, Missouri with that. So then after they retired and we came back, then from there I moved from where was I at? I was like an hour and a half south of St. Louis. Tiny little farm town. It was called Farmington, funny enough. So Farmington, Deloge, Bonne Terre, this area. So I did a collision repair, like auto body out there with my uncle, and then I also cut grass with my other uncle. And then from there I moved out and moved up to Virginia.
Jesus. Let me go grab an atlas and some pins.
Yeah. Jot it all down. Yeah, so then I moved out to Virginia Beach. Well, first I went to D.C. Take that back. So first I went to D.C., the same area where we previously lived. My older sister still lives there. So I went there and lived with her for like a month or 2. My uncle had kicked me out of the house, so that's the reason why I left Missouri. So then after that, I moved out to Virginia Beach, and I had a really good friend of mine, my son Carter, that lives in Little Rock. This is his uncle. So really good friend of mine, me and him are best friends. He lived out in Virginia Beach, and he was stationed at Langley Air Force Base, and he was Air Force. So I went out there and lived with him, and like had a blast out there in Virginia Beach. Like, we partied all the time and had a good time. But like I watched him, and I was like, man, every payday, this guy, his house is paid for, and then not all the money for his housing allowance goes to the house. The other half of it goes towards his brand new Dodge Charger. And then on top of that, he gets his actual paycheck. And I was like, man, this guy's living good. Like, I need to get in on this. So I went and started talking to the recruiter. And then shortly after that, they told me, yeah, you're going to be shipping out here eventually, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay. So, it definitely took longer than I expected. So in the meantime, I moved back down to Missouri to Branson, which is a little bit south of Springfield.
Oh, yeah, I know Branson.
Yeah. So I worked down
Country.
there. Yeah, so I worked down there for a little bit until I shipped out for basic training. But yeah, that was kind of where I went. So it was really more like, the Midwest, a little bit of the South, and then like, a little bit of the East Coast up near D.C. and then Germany.
No.
Did you have any choice in like going and getting sent to Germany?
You talking about this time?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. So it was actually one of the number ones on our dream sheet. So our first duty station was Alabama. So we were like, man, Alabama, like this place is
hot as shit.
It's hot as shit, and it's a shithole, and like it's ghetto as shit. Montgomery, Alabama is super ghetto.
Yeah.
It's super ghetto. So I was like, man, I don't know if I care for this that much. So we were like trying to get out of there. So we put on the top of our dream sheet, we put Ramstein Air Base in Germany, because I remember Germany when I was a teenager. Like, I was 16, 17, and I'd go to Oktoberfest and get hammered and smoke weed and do whatever. Like, it was a good time. So I was like, oh, Germany would be fun. So Erin applied for a slot to go work with OSI, and she got picked up for it. So that's the reason why we ended up in Germany. So we did. We totally had control over this one.
That's awesome.
Doesn't
I had no
always work
idea
out
that
like
you,
that.
yeah. I had no idea that even, like, that's why I was curious about it.
Yeah. You have a dream sheet with like 8 slots for stateside and 8 slots for overseas. And you just fill it up with where you want to go, and just fucking pray to the gods that you actually get one of them.
Military gods.
Yeah, and just pray that you actually get one of them, and that's pretty much it. Like that's how you do that.
Now,
dear military industrial complex. Please.
so you've lived in a lot of different places.
Yeah.
What to you makes it a good place to live?
What makes it a good place to
Yeah.
live?
Good question.
I'd say good people, hands down.
I was going to
Good
ask this
people?
probably the people.
Yeah,
out there.
hands down, good people. Because like, there's things that I like about Europe, and there's things that I like about Alabama, and things I like about Ohio and stuff. There's so many different things. I don't think I could ever pick like one place and say like, oh, this is the best place. But I think it's like the people that are there.
Is it like friendly people, or is it just good friends in general?
just good friends, just good people in general. Good friends, basically. Good friends and family. That'd really narrow it down. Because like me and Aaron are talking now about possibly getting out of the military, just because like my entire life, my 25 years of life, I've moved like every 2 or 3 years. Like I'm pretty burnt out on it already. So we've been talking about getting out of the military, and I think one of the places that we want to go, it's probably our number one right now, but we want to come back, not necessarily to Salina, but probably like to Dayton, outside of Wright Pat, where we could both find some good jobs or whatever, but still be close to family and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
we got to start our coffee shop. Coffee.
We'll
yeah.
get-
Is that
we
the
gotta-
plan?
That's a plan.
we got to start our coffee shop. And we got to get our lawn mowing business, and then
and a brewery or
Brewery.
some kind of beer thing.
yeah,
bar.
we got a lot of plans.
We got a lot of
plans in the
but-
works. Yeah, yeah.
I just got to pick one. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna do all of them. We'll start with one, and then we'll move on to the rest of them.
Hey,
but-
we work with somebody who does all of them, and it doesn't
Really?
work out so well. You get too much shit going on.
yeah.
That's why we get 4 of them. So we got me and
Bro,
Brady,
that's a lot of
Aaron,
shit.
and
That's a
they,
lot-
they can
that's a
run
lot of
the.
shit to have
Each
on
one
your
gets their own
plate.
company.
Yeah, there you go.
So Aaron and Emma said they wanted to run the coffee shop. I think.
Yeah, I think we should just put the coffee shop and then have like not necessarily a brewery, but like a place where we can bring all like a bunch of new craft beer together and just have like people can like try it, just a variety of
That'd
craft
be
beer
cool.
too. So it's like
That'd
a
be
coffee
awesome.
shop in the morning and then have a nice brewery on the other side.
That'd be
like a
cool.
cool thing at the
That
other
would be
side.
neat. Yeah, I'm good
Dude,
with that.
local breweries are taking off.
They're huge.
Yeah.
There's one going to be in
Yeah.
Parkway now or Rockford.
No shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what it's called.
Could
but-
be a little bit of saturation going on there, boys. You might have to wait for the second
know.
wave.
Well, yeah, this area
Yeah.
is just not populated enough.
Coffee
Nah.
shops could be one though. I don't know how many there are.
Well,
but I
we'll
feel like
just go down
a
to Dayton.
good-
If we're gonna go down to Dayton, then there's a lot of people.
Oh
down
yeah,
there too,
definitely.
Check.
Yeah.
I wonder how many breweries there are in Dayton, because there could
Not-
be
not-
potential there.
There's not as many. There's a lot more is in probably Cincinnati,
Columbus, Budweiser,
Yeah.
Anheuser-Busch.
Well, just
But
in Columbus, there's a lot.
It's
Microbreweries.
a
there's
different
a lot.
scene.
I mean, there's
lot
like
of Cincinnati, there's
Columbus
the hipsters.
IPA and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, like
Oh, it's a
Brewdog
whole
IPA. There.
It's a whole up and coming
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
And it helps.
Unique flavor.
It helps to have
Love it.
a lot of money backing your operation, especially now.
No,
Like Moeller Brew Barn, those guys are probably the biggest one in the area,
they are the biggest one
and
there.
Oh,
it's
by
because
far.
they have
Yeah.
so much. Their family has money from other businesses, and they can just have the best everything
Yeah.
already. You know?
The one
Right,
thing bad
right.
about them is they're out in the middle of nowhere.
in Maria Stein.
Sucks to get there,
They
man.
put that shit in bumfuck Egypt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Give back to the homeboys.
Well, but it's
Yeah.
cool. I mean, they have like a trivia night and shit.
Yeah, they
I've
have
never been there.
really cool stuff.
Oh, yeah,
Dude,
their
they
trivia night's
just
fun
they
as
just
shit.
added on too.
we
that-
might
that-
do work
that's-
with them.
That's where we're gonna have our the rehearsal dinner.
Cool.
Yeah,
Nice,
I'm gonna try
nice.
to. We're trying to
Yeah,
get
I went to a bunch of microbreweries in Huntsville, Alabama. They've got a lot of them out there, surprisingly. Yeah, Huntsville's actually pretty like up and coming. Like it's pretty popping. So
Good.
Toyota and I want to say like either Nissan or Mazda just put in new plants out there. And then Facebook put in like two couple $1 billion data centers out there.
Yeah.
And so
People are gonna be working
there's a lot
there.
of stuff out there, but they got a lot of microbreweries. A buddy of mine that lived out there, whenever I'd go up there to visit, he'd take me to all these microbreweries, and it was pretty cool. But one of the things I thought was cool was a lot of these microbreweries will allow you to bring your dogs in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's all hipsters.
Yeah, it's all hipsters. So people had their golden retrievers and their
Yeah.
labs and all their dogs in there, and that was a huge thing.
There's a couple like that in
was cool.
Cincinnati.
Really?
Yeah, we can go
Dog
and
friendly. I'm about it. I don't care if there's a little dog hair in my food or something.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, dude.
Adds a little flavor to the beer.
Exactly.
It's like the fly in the soup.
Well,
What about the fly in the soup?
You shouldn't complain about the fly in your
No,
soup.
I
Just
don't care.
spoon it out.
Yeah.
or just eat it.
Dude,
That's
some people get-
beautiful
Yeah, it's a protein.
right
It's a
there.
protein.
Yeah.
People
Oh, yeah.
get real fired up about that, though. I've been to dinner with people and they see a hair in their cup or and they'll send it back. They'll be like, "Fuck this."
Those people
Dude.
need to find some shit to do. 'Cause
They
Yeah.
just don't get it.
Now those
Dude.
people need to understand that in the real world, right?
Nobody's
We give
perfect.
the illusion that your restaurants and dining facilities are really clean. In reality, they're not.
need to
Anybody
work in a
that's
restaurant
worked,
for a little bit,
anybody
yeah.
that's worked, in a restaurant or in the fast food industry or anything like that, we got gloves and all these hair nets, things like that. It's not as clean as people think, but you all still eat it and you survive every day. So it's
It's not that big of a deal.
you got to understand that. So when you get a little hair, you just pick it out and just
yeah.
eat your food and enjoy your time.
Yeah, people just don't need to get so soft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely,
As a,
we're breeding a softer generation.
Yeah, we are. As a cop, sometimes where you go through food or something and you're just looking at
Dude,
the person
I
that gave
was
it to
wondering
you,
about that.
and you just you look at the food and you're like, there's the loogie in there. And you're just like, fuck it.
Well,
you just
you
eat it.
think
Because
about-
sometimes
think
you just
about
gotta
it.
suck it up
I'm
and
not
eat it,
gonna
dude.
waste his burger.
Yeah, I just spot
The
them.
people who work at the wine store, half of them are felons. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And most of it's not a big deal, but they got in trouble, and guess who they blame for getting in trouble?
Oh,
the cops.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
cops
there's
out
gonna be
there- and
something
that's
in there.
that's the same thing
Freaking
across a lot
pigs.
of the food industry. There's some
Yeah,
felons working in the kitchens.
So you just gotta suck it up, and
got-
there's a big old loogie on there, and
I think I'm bringing my own lunch.
down.
And plus, if you don't know it for certain, then it's who cares?
Yeah.
yeah.
I got a burger for a cop. Hold the spit.
Oh, this bit. A liter of cola, dude. I got the second one of that. Have you seen that one yet?
No.
It's funny. It's
Super
obviously
Troopers
not
2?
as bad. It doesn't really hold up to the first one, but it's still a really good movie. Super Troopers 2, yeah.
Dude, it's been so long since I've even watched Super Troopers.
Yeah,
So
it's been a hot
funny.
minute. We've got a sweet mural in our office where we work because we're SCOO. That's our office symbol, SCOO. So we have Scooper Troopers, and it's like one of the Super Troopers face and the mustache and the eyeglasses, but it's got a bunch of cyber shit behind it and stuff. But
That's badass.
Yeah,
That's
it's
really
Got
sweet.
the short shorts on.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Scooper Troopers.
Important stuff.
That's right.
Alrighty. Well, you guys want to call it?
I think so.
Yeah,
It's
I
been
think it's
good.
pretty
Good time.
Well,
Thanks for joining us.
How long
Yeah,
have you been
man.
going
Thanks
for?
for having me. Appreciate it.
An hour.
No, okay, cool.
Yeah, dude, it was really nice talking to you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Let me know if you guys do another one. If I'm
Definitely,
here,
dude.
I'll come back out.
Dude,
Round,
and that's
round
a crazy.
two.
That's a crazy life, man. Props to you. That takes not everyone can do that, dude.
No.
For sure.
Yeah.
You see some people just go crazy because of that.
And it's weird. It's weird to think that somehow he landed in the Stolly family.
Yep, it is.
Weird.
All the way out here, out of all the places
the
I've
world
been.
famous Stolly family.
Yeah.
And I consider Jacob a brother. I also consider you a brother-in-law now.
There
so.
we go. There we go. Yeah, no, it was good. Thanks, guys.
Alrighty. Peace out.